you would understand if I was fragile in your hand. You looked away when I was lost, just another day that I needed you most. Running for my life, running for my life. Nobody's here to hold me tonight. Running for my life, running for my life. Nobody's gonna make this you